You're tuned in to Shake, Rattle, and Goal, the official podcast of your Springfield Thunderbirds.
Pekka's there on the backhand, scoring the save, rebound in the crease, they score!
Hosted by Matt Baker and Steve Forney. A show that's everything Springfield hockey, with interviews including players, coaches, and staff.
The Springfield Indians repeat as the Calder Cup champions.
Listen to this podcast on all major streaming platforms and wherever you download podcasts.
In his first year at the helm, Kevin McDonald and Drew Bannister have the Teamers in the Calder Cup Finals.
Watch the podcast on the official Shake, Rattle, and Goal YouTube page at SRG Podcast.
And now, here are your hosts, Matt Baker and Steve Forney.
And this episode number 26 of Season 3, the SRG Podcast, is proudly brought to you by our friends at the TDS Center for Communication and Social Learning in Amherst. They're at tdsspeech.com. By the folks at MassCon United Training Center in Agawam, mcutrainingcenter.com. And by the guy who was at my house today putting down the first step of fertilizer, Landscaping That Fits, landscapingthatfits.com, promo code SRG10. Alongside Matt Baker, I am Steve Forney. Matt, how are you, my friend? Beautiful day out today.
Doing well. Yeah, absolutely. You definitely get a taste of the spring fever today, and I love it.
For sure.
I'm here for it.
So I wanted to lead off the show today with just a little bit of something, and I'm using my phone here as a reference, but I think the Thunderbirds are in a really interesting place here as we head, as we head here towards the playoffs. Yep. For those who don't know what the Black Aces are, just real quick, the Black Aces are guys that get called up to NHL teams from the AHL when the NHL team is in the playoffs. So they can there's no limit to it. Usually it's around 5 guys. And this would include guys that are scratched from the lineup in the regular and guys that have been called up from the AHL. Now, what makes this interesting and how it affects the Thunderbirds is that if you look at the playoffs right now as they stand, Boston, Carolina, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia are all in, which means that there's the potential for Lehigh Valley, Wilkes-Barre, Scranton. Who's Charlotte? Oh my goodness. I thought Carolina was Charlotte, and they're not. So throw them out. They play in the same state, wear the same colors, not the same affiliate. I'll never wrap my head around that. So apologies. But same will apply to Boston. Now, I thought the Islanders made the playoffs, but I guess they didn't. Either way, you have the potential here for Boston, Pittsburgh, and Philly to all call up players from the AHL in the middle of the playoff push. Now, as we know, the priority here is the NHL. It always is, and it always will be. So, with all due respect to St. Louis, the nice thing that I've noticed here is that on Tuesday, 2 players from St. Louis were sent down, and Theo Lindstein and Otto Stenberg. And Lehigh Valley lost 4 guys up to Philadelphia. Now, how long are they going to be up? I don't know, but it might just be, last game of the season. Don't want your guys getting hurt. You call up a bunch of AHLers, and then you send them back down for a big game on Wednesday. Very well could be the case. I would assume it's going to go that way. But this is something to keep an eye on here as we move to the playoffs. I mean, if I'm Boston and I'm not calling up Matthew Poitras, then I don't know what they're doing. I mean, Boston's the exception because they, again, refuse to call up any of their prospects from Providence. I mean, tell me that Riley Tufte has not deserved a call up,
Right.
Leading the league in goals. Like, they're a bunch of tweeners and vets. Well, okay, but they get the best record in the league and the leading goal scorer in the league, and you're not calling them up. The Blumel, Tufte, Poitras, you're not going to call those guys up. I don't know what's wrong with you. Even again to the Black Aces, and their purpose is not just if somebody gets hurt, but practicing. Right? Like we have practices. You want a relatively full squad that you can compete hard against, and that's a big purpose of the Black Aces. So this is something that I'm going to keep my eye on, particularly in Lehigh Valley. As we record on Tuesday, I believe Philly plays their last game tonight. Mm-hmm. And then are they going to be able to get those 4 players or any of those players to Springfield for today, Wednesday, for the biggest game of the year for either of these teams, Thunderbirds, Lehigh Valley, basically a playoff game. Winner goes to the playoffs. Loser, mathematically, technically goes home. So yep. I'm fascinated by this, and I'm really curious to see how these rosters all shake out between now, Tuesday night, and tomorrow at 7:00 when we play Lehigh Valley.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think I do tend to think you're correct in the Lehigh Valley situation. I probably would expect, I wouldn't be surprised to see they called up like 5 players. I wouldn't be surprised to see them send them back down. But again, now you're just talking about 5 players who are going to be dog tired. Now, no one's going to make excuses, but that would be 2 games in a row, a lot of travel in between, quick turnaround. So again, no one is going to make an excuse, but you're right. I mean, win or go home, basically. You look at the last 3 games for both of these teams. Lehigh Valley ends with 2 in Charlotte, Saturday and Sunday after the Thunderbirds game, and Springfield ends with a home and home with the Wolfpack. So
sounds easy enough, doesn't it? We'll get to that.
Again, we said this 2-3 weeks ago. If the Thunderbirds are not in the playoffs, it is because of their own doing. And right now, they technically control their own destiny. They're 2 points ahead of Lehigh Valley at the moment. And, big games coming up. So I do like the position the Thunderbirds are in. You get Lindstein back. You get Otto Stenberg back. I was wrong last week. I said I wasn't sure on Otto Stenberg's status, if he reached his I don't know. I truthfully, I don't know how that works. So
it's convoluted. I did a little bit of homework, and
I try to figure it out, and timing, the time of the year matters, the numbers matter, when the call up happened, so many things matter. That's why I'm not a GM. That's why I just record on a podcast in my basement, I guess. But I do like where the Thunderbirds are sitting, and again, they can control their own destiny. If they take care of business on Wednesday, today, in the Thunderdome against Lehigh Valley, they are in the playoffs. Game, set, match. You're in the playoffs. You still can compete for that 5 spot. The 4 spot's a little bit tougher now, but you can still find yourself in that 5 spot. And, where would you, well, I don't know if this is a bad omen or not. Do you want to project, would you rather have the 6 spot if you are the Thunderbirds playing Charlotte, or would you rather be the 5 playing Bridgeport?
I'd rather be the 5 strictly because if you play Charlotte, all 3 games are in Charlotte. You don't get a home game. Yeah. So that to me is massive, and that I would say it's borderline unfair, but I'm not a complainer. I
100% do.
But what Charlotte's earned that, so give them credit, and
well, but I'll push back. They didn't earn that. It's because of the AHL not wanting to pay for transportation. If that's the case, if it's not, I don't buy that they earned it, because the 3 seed last year didn't get 3 home games.
Well, it's true, but if they earned the 3 seed, and if it was flipped, they'd be playing all 3 games in Springfield.
I don't like that, man.
I don't either.
Have big gripes with that. I am going to be a whiner, and I could use a different I am going to whine so much if that doesn't
can't wait for episode 27.
That doesn't make sense to me. I'm sorry, that doesn't make sense to me.
That's when you call Robert Kraft and get the Patriots plane, and you call the owner of the Eagles, and you say, "Can you fly our guys or Charlotte, whoever it is, the Carolina Panthers?
Play the first game in Springfield."
Yeah,
or play the third game in Springfield.
The third would make more sense.
Play the third game in Springfield. To play 3 games in a 3-game series in one spot, to me, doesn't make sense. That's not what you do in the second highest league in North America. It's not what you do. I get you. You know what? If Springfield finds themselves in 5th place, and it's Hershey that has to travel down there, I will defend her. I will whine about her. That doesn't make sense to me. You earned by making the playoffs, you earned a home game in the playoffs that's revenue for your team. You've earned that.
I'll give you another example. So like if we go to the Central Division, Grand Rapids is in Michigan, Texas, and the Texas Stars. That's a farther flight commute than Springfield, than Bradley Airport to Charlotte. So what's the plan there?
Yeah.
So like I'm curious to look at other, the Pacific Division is mostly all California teams, but you got Colorado and you have San Jose. Like I don't pardon my idiocy on geography out there, but like how far is that? So I'm curious to see if this isn't the only situation in the league, because again, if you get Chicago against Texas, you get Grand Rapids against Texas. Texas is out there, man. Texas is out there, and it's more out there than Charlotte is. So I'm curious, with Texas being the 3 seed, they're going to host a playoff spot. I think 6 teams make it there. So what's the plan there? So
I don't
keep an eye on that.
AHL. We've been pretty good this year, where we've towed the company line, so to speak, right? We've been.
This is we. You, Matt. These were the words of Matt Baker.
I at AHL. I'm sorry. I don't get it. Like all these teams. Yes, if you're a higher seed, you earned more home games. Not all of them, and figure it out like that. Home fans deserve to see their home team in a home playoff game. The team deserves the revenue. To me, to save a few bucks doesn't make sense. Just doesn't make sense. Reconfigure your playoffs if you're only looking for bus trips in the first round. If you're only worried about bus trips, reconfigure your playoffs. Play a 5-game series if you want, or make the third game a home game. So the Thunderbirds would have to, or whoever. I don't want to make it just about the Thunderbirds, because it's make the lesser seeded team, the lower seeded team has to win at least one away game to earn a home game. I'm fine with that. I'm down for that. But just to sit there and be like, nope, you don't get a home game at all because it's too far of a commute. I don't. Bleh.
Well, what I would tell you is I would direct your anger at the Springfield Thunderbirds, because if you beat Hartford, which you should have done, then you leapfrog Hershey near the 5 seed. And if you earned a point against Providence, then you would be tied with Hershey and you would be the 5 seed. You'd have the point differential. So yes, what you're saying is accurate, but at the same time, you got to beat Hartford. Agreed. You got to drag Providence for a point. And those to me are the two. Like I would love to talk about that game Friday night and how well they played and how much they looked like they're a playoff team and they looked legit. Would you like to share with the people what I texted you before the Hartford game?
I mean, I would. I will.
Because I just kind of
called it.
I kind of saw it coming. And like, I think, and this goes back to the schedule thing too, Matt, because I feel like we haven't played Hartford in like months.
In a while, correct.
Like we've played a lot of Central Division teams. We've played Iowa. We've played Providence a bunch. We've played, Lehigh Valley a bunch. I feel like the Thunderbirds were not ready for the punch in the mouth that is the Hartford Wolfpack. Look, when you're in last place and you have the most penalty minutes, that was one of the dirtiest games I've seen from one team. Everything was after the whistle. Everything was behind the play. They could have called 4 or 5 boarding calls that they didn't, just because Hartford doesn't care. They don't care. What are they? They don't care. And so what are you gonna do? Suspend me? Like whatever. Like the season's over. So that's how they played that game, and that's how they're gonna play the last 2 games, especially if you're not in the playoffs. So I don't think the Thunderbirds were ready to get physically punched in the mouth, and they did. And look, I give them credit. Dylan Peterson stepped up. Wagner stepped up.
Quentin Burns
stepped up, got himself hurt, which kind of stinks.
Yeah,
but I don't think at the start of that game they were ready to get punched in the mouth, and by the time they started to up their physicality, it was too late.
Yeah. So here it is, right after the Thunderbirds beat Rochester in a great game. Look, like you alluded to, looking like a playoff team, playing another playoff team in Rochester, and looking the part.
They had something to play for, Rochester.
100%. And that was a good, high quality playoff atmosphere type hockey game. This is the text message I get from you at 4:59.
It's an hour before puck drop.
Hour before puck drop. If they came out tonight completely flat and was down by a goal through the first period, would it surprise you? Here's my answer. I'll go. Here's my answer. Yes, it would. I said under Ott, they've been more professional and prepared. Tomorrow's game, I'm expecting a slow start.
Referring to Providence game.
Yes, thinking the third, come ready to play, take care of Hartford. Sunday, a little bit of a letdown kind of game. The back end of a 3-3. I guess we just and you were right. You called it. I don't know if you saw something in pregame skate or just the energy level or
I'm just going off the team, what they've been, what I've seen all year. That's really all it was.
And for me, it was just like, they had been more prepared. And so the way that game started did surprise me. I don't know. What was it? It was 3-0, right? It was
3-0, and
3-0 within the first half of the first period.
And I give Steve Ott credit because he did call a timeout after the second one, which was way early to use the timeout in a game, 100%. And he did. And I thought it was the right move. And then right after that, Zarenko gives up a real leaky one. And I do give him credit because Ott kept him in the game.
Yep.
And Zarenko didn't give up another one.
Yep.
So I credit both of those guys. I credit the coach for keeping him in, and I credit Zarenko for being stones the rest of the way.
I'm glad you brought that up because that was a point I wanted to make. I feel like Zarenko's maturation this year, we talked about at the beginning of the year where he has these highs and lulls and they can sometimes be lengthy. Zarenko has had some leaky goals, not at all as of late. And the only reason this team has a chance in the playoffs during their slow start is because of their goaltending. Like, let's be real here, right? So,
and Romanov was great on Sunday, and he hadn't played in like a month, which was impressive.
100%, right? Yep. So the goaltending between the three of them, Zarenko, Cranley, and Romanov, they are where they are, and they have a fighting chance. They're in the driver's seat because of their goaltending. But I think Zarenko has really matured this year in his development. I don't know if I don't think it probably goes to the next level. Like I think he's a very, very good, high quality AHL guy. I don't know, he might maybe get a spot start in the NHL, but I kind of tend to think this is where he's at. But in years past, there have been a few games. The first game of the season, slow start. Hunter Skinner banks the skate or the puck off of Zarenko's skate, right? They're down 3-0, and then he builds the wall. Slow start against Hartford, build a wall. Like, you have to think that you need to score more than one goal against Hartford. You have you're fighting for the playoff life, and you put up a one spot regardless of what your goalie does. You're basically saying, get a shutout or we lose, mm-hmm. So I will give Zarenko credit there. It was not up to where we have seen him as of late. But when he has gotten himself into tough spots, he's given the team a chance by the mental aspect of being a goalie. Next save is coming. Next save is coming. Next save is coming. And so I do think Zarenko has grown a lot this year in that area.
I totally agree. I want to give one positive and one question I have for the weekend, particularly in Hartford. Home, but against Hartford. You get that disgusting, blatant, intentional intent to injure kneeing on Callie Rosen by Dylan Rubrecht, which, oh, by the way, there was no suspension and there was no game misconduct. So he came right back and is still skating around. So whatever. I don't know what the rules are anymore. And then you get Quentin Burns out with a fight. And I was very impressed with what was left. Colin Ralph, Michael Bushinger, Dylan Peterson, Marc-Andre Gaudet. You had 4 defensemen to go the rest of the way, and you didn't give up a goal. And I thought that was really, really impressive from those guys. And take it one step further, in steps Leo Loof, who hasn't played in like a month. He's been a healthy scratch, and he could have pouted, and he could have whined and moaned. And instead, he went out against Providence and played really, really well. Yeah, so I want to give the back end a little bit of credit for stepping up when their teammates went down. I really, I'm not even talking about fighting. I'm talking about minutes, man. Minutes. I thought that they absolutely played well. Here's the one question that I have over the weekend. And let's say it's Thursday before the weekend and we don't know what's going to happen in any of the games. Steve Ott, and this is, I think, the first question that I have from Coach Ott. You want to sit a guy like Chris Wagner. You don't want him playing a 3-3. He's 34 years old, so you're going to sit him. Why wouldn't you sit him on Saturday against Hartford, a team that you should be able to beat with or without Chris Wagner? And then let him play on Sunday against a team that he torments. I mean, Chris Wagner against Matthew Patra is like the best rivalry in the AHL. Those two hate each other, and Wagner always gets under his skin. And we've seen games this year where Springfield and Wagner in particular have had the ability to take Providence completely out of their game just by playing his game, tough and gritty and nasty, and baiting guys like Patra into penalties, right? Like we've seen that. Like that's been like a big thing. Why wouldn't you sit Wagner at home against the last place team so that he's ready to go Sunday against Providence? And I get, we talked about it last week. It's 6 games in 9 days. So you got to pick your spot. And you got a turnaround game coming up on Wednesday, right after that game on Sunday. So maybe that was a part of it. But to me, I looked at it when I was actually in the car and I heard, well, Wagner's getting the night off here tonight against Providence. And I'm like, what? Like, you're going to rest him. You rest him Saturday against Hartford, not Sunday against the first place team. So I had a little bit of a gripe with that, just in terms of how they handled that part of it in the 3-on-3.
Here's fair points. Here's where I'll play the devil's advocate to yours. I think if you sit Wagner, I mean, look at what happened. They weren't taken seriously. They weren't ready for it. So I think you take it. You're taking, if you're Coach Ott, look, we're not giving anything there. And so you're sending a message. Like maybe there was a sense of, don't sleep on Hartford. They are playing for something to ruin your night. And so hey, Wags, you're available? Then you're going. You got the C, you're available, you're going.
And you know what? It could have been the kind of thing where that decision wasn't even made till after the Hartford game. I mean, Wagner got in that fight with a guy twice his size, and he could have done, dinged up something and said, well, why don't we sit you out Sunday? That could very well be the case, and everything I'm saying is completely moot. But if they, I don't know. I get what you're saying too. Yeah, and you're right. If they sat him against Hartford and they lost, we'd be like, well, why didn't you play Chris Wagner? Right? Like there's no good time to do it. And I get that. And like I said, this whole thing could be moot, but that was just one of those things that had me kind of scratching my head. Like why? Because to me, the most important game on that schedule was Providence. Yeah. And that's the one. Yeah. I mean, even that I would have saved Zarenko for Sunday because he's done really, really well historically in Providence, right? So, and I'm tip of the cap to Romanov, like I said, who was excellent. So, luckily we don't have to navigate many more of those the rest of the way. But that was just something that had me scratching my head a little bit.
My few things that my big takeaways. We're not really talking much about the Rochester game, but I just thought just a brilliant, fantastic game. Will Cranley was excellent. Like he was absolutely fantastic. He has arrived. I cannot wait to see Will Cranley in the AHL for an entire year next year. I can't wait because, it's true in all sports. There's the regular season and then there's the second season, the playoffs. And because of the spot the Thunderbirds are in, they are playing playoff hockey right now. They better right. So, and I think they are, like, they realize the sense of urgency. So to see Will Cranley play like that against Rochester in a playoff type game, I am pumped and thrilled for his development, his maturation, and very excited to see what he brings to the table next year. You talked about it, Wagner's fight. I know he didn't win it, quote unquote win it. But
no, the message was sent.
And that's, this isn't a knock on a Tommy Cross or a Matthew Pekka, but like, I love that part of a captain. And that's sort of what I've been not preaching for, but where's like, they were always just timid, and that isn't a Matthew Pekka style. And it shouldn't be, because that's not who the type of player he is.
Right.
You have to be true to you and the type of player you are. But I just love it when you're a player and your undersized captain is going to stand up for you and pick
take
his
a couple.
spot. And just because your message is sent. And everybody in that locker room, both locker rooms, know you got 2 more games left with each other. That's popcorn. Is like, get ready for the fireworks in these last 2 games. I would not be surprised to see a line brawl early in that first game, especially if the Thunderbirds come out and they win. If they beat Lehigh Valley, I'm a little worried if they lose that game, and Hartford smells the blood in the water and they know, hey, if we can get under these guys' skin, they're playing with anxiety right now. That I'm a little worried about that. But my other thing that we have played Providence very, very well this year. My guess, and this is just a guess, we probably have the most wins against Providence this year.
I think we account for like 20% of their losses.
Right.
It's
so
crazy when you think about it.
It's my guess. But that being said, a lot of those games, especially as of late, the wins have come against what's the back? Ziyechek?
Ziyechek? Yeah.
Ziyechek. DiPietro, it was 1-0. So I think the Thunderbirds, you don't lose a whole lot of confidence, but I really, really was hoping, not just for 1 point's sake, but like, get one past DiPietro, because that's who you're going to see in the playoffs. You're not going to see their backup goalie. If you are fortunate enough to match up against Providence in the second round or later, like, you're going to eventually have to try to beat DiPietro. And he's the best goaltender in the league this year, in most categories. And of the games that the Thunderbirds have been able to beat Providence, it has come at the expense of their backup goalies, not necessarily DiPietro. So although the Thunderbirds continued to play 1-0 loss, you're in it, you still got to get one by the goaltender. And so that was a little bit of a red flag for me. Sort of my negative was just get one by the guy, solve him. You can solve their backup goalie, solve him. And, that was a struggle. So
I know you mentioned it. Sorry, Rook, while we stick to goaltending,
Yep.
A little bit on Callum Tongue here, who I thought, first of all, I saw the shot total, and then I saw how many shots with my own eyes went right into the shin pads of Hartford players, right into the shin pads of defensemen. And I just thought that they got away from their game of greasy, grimy, dirty goals, because Callum Tongue loves giving up rebounds. He's like a human trampoline. He just loves giving up rebounds, and there was nobody home to smash those things home. So I thought they were trying to. The cross ice passes were working, like in front of the net, back door, but the rebound cleanup to me was something that, like, that's what works in the playoffs. Like, you're going to play Michael DiPietro. He gives up a rebound, you got to be there to pounce on it. Like, you're going to play good goaltending. So, they got to really work on net front presence and being able to take advantage of loose pucks that find you, or that you find. You're going to score some greasy, grimy ones. But on DiPietro, I mean, Boston, like, doesn't it make sense to have 3 goalies on a playoff run? Just saying, you trust Korpisalo, or you want to go with DiPietro? I as a Bruins fan, I might want to see what DiPietro's got. At least bring him up and have him practice. That would be me. Yeah. Because clearly they don't care about Providence. If they did, they'd call up Matthew Patra in December. So, whatever. I don't know. I guess that's kind of it. The shots in the shin pads. I will say I thought the effort was there all weekend. I don't think there was a game where I was like, this is an off night for them. They're packing it in, mailing it in, even that text I sent you, I thought was going to be for a lack of effort, and I don't really think it was. I just think Hartford got kind of lucky, and Zarenko got a little leaky, and that was sort of kind of it. I loved Peterson getting in that fight to kind of try to get the boys back into it. So I thought they played the right way, and I thought that they coached the right way, and I thought that the players stood up for each other the way you should. And that fight by Peterson, that was for Zarenko.
Yeah.
That was a Zarenko fight. Like, we got you, dude. And I love that from the team. I just love that, standing up for each other kind of thing. So it's just crazy to me to think that our next podcast, when we record, we could be completely out of the playoffs. Oh, please don't do that.
Think happy thoughts.
Yeah, seriously. We do want to remind you folks that our podcast, the Shake, Rattle, and Gold podcast, that's us, is brought to you by our friends at the TDS Center for Communication and Social Learning. Its unique location in the center of Amherst, allowing for clients and groups to enjoy the social constructs of city life. Founder Teresa Dooley-Smith is a leader within the speech and language community, continuing to find innovative ways to meet the needs of all individuals. For more information, you can visit tdsspeech.com. You can give a call at 413-835-0735. Mascon United Training Center in Agawam. It's your one-stop facility for all your training needs. Regardless of your talent level, MCU has room for you to improve your craft. They have training for soccer, lacrosse, baseball, golf, hockey, floor hockey, field hockey, weight training, and agility. They do have those golf simulators there, which are really cool. If you're looking for a birthday party where kids can just be active and go bananas, good place to do it. 413-301-6040. And for more information and availability, you can visit mcutrainingcenter.com. And by our friends at Landscaping That Fits. Rob came to my house. He's been here twice in 2 weeks. First time he came for my mosquito and tick treatment, and then the second time for the first round of fertilizer, which means he covers the full spectrum of what it is that you're looking to do for your lawn, whether you need it mowed, whether you need it spring cleaned, whether you need, like I said, fertilizer or mosquito and tick treatment. Rob kind of does it all, and he does it all really well. So if you need any of those services, feel free to reach out, landscapingthatfits.com. Use the promo code SRG10 if you're looking to get the fertilizer done like I do. SRG10 will save you 10% off. But look, the guy's already doing it. So if you haven't called yet, like, you're behind the eight ball. So get on that. Give him a call right now. Go to the website, landscapingthatfits.com. And I thought it was kind of cool. He actually set out a thing. I got it, but I obviously didn't take advantage of it. But I guess he had like 15 clients different clients that he brought to the game this weekend, which was kind of cool, kind of nice thing to do as a small business owner. So tip of the hat there, Rob, and the fine folks over there as well. I know we have fan rants, and from what I've seen, the number, there's quite a few of them, Matt. I just didn't know if you had anything else from the weekend that I didn't want to totally shut it out or shut you out. If you had other stuff from the weekend you wanted to touch on.
I do. I just have one thing, kind of buried the lead a little bit on this one, talking about games. Springfield Thunderbirds Man of the Year. Cale Kessie, ladies and gentlemen. Cale Kessie. I find that this fascinating. A guy who I'm not willing to talk any smack about. A guy who is your bruiser, a guy who is your enforcer, is also your Man of the Year. We've talked about this before, how it's just like that hockey fighting code, and you often you fight for whatever reason you're fighting for, but it's part of the game. And I'm not looking to smash a dude's skull against the ice. I'm not looking to end anybody's career. Whatever reason is that you're getting into your fight, you go into the penalty box, and then you come out and you play hockey. And I've always find it fascinating how off the ice the guys act towards my children, towards us, towards the fans, and then on the ice they are who they are. But Springfield Thunderbirds Man of the Year nominee is Cale Kessie. So congratulations to him.
And you're right. He's been nothing but absolute class. Every time I've sort of interacted with him, I'm always like, I hope this guy doesn't listen to the podcast, because it's not that I'm mean towards him, but I think he understands his spot on the team. And I loved Ryan had a thing that he was at the rink about an hour after practice, because there was a kid who, a young kid who just went through some really nasty surgery, and Cale Kessie wanted to give him a tour of the locker room in the facility. Awesome. Like, you love that, man. Absolutely love that. So tip of the hat, kudos to you, Cale Kessie, for doing that. And not only that, but being an example for this is a young locker room. This is a young group. So for these young guys to see what you're doing is really going to have a trickle down effect in a positive way. So absolutely 100%. Good job, Cale Kessie. Love that. Fan rants?
Let's do it.
All right, we can get this one out of the way relatively quickly because it's stuff we've touched on. Austin says that Austin Harrington, that kneeing penalty was BS. New Power did it, got 5-minute major and a game plus a 1 to 2 game suspension. Yet the player for Hartford got 2 minutes. Completely agree with that. I don't know where I was shocked there was no suspension or 5-minute major or anything like that. I think that the one that I saw over the weekend was way more blatant than New Power's. New Power was a new guy on his first shift with a new team trying to figure it out. He looked one way, looked the other way, and boom, there was contact. I don't think that had any malice to it, whereas this one from Rubrek, I think, sort of did. So then he says Wagner lost the fight, but him being a captain and standing up for that injury is what we need in a captain. Yeah, I mean, I don't think he went into that fight thinking he was going to win it. And I thought he fought defensive in it and went down a little early because I think he was defending him. He was trying to make sure he didn't get popped in the face, but it wasn't about the throwing of the punches. It was about the look, right? The optics of dropping the gloves and supporting your teammates. And I absolutely love that. So I agree 1,000%, Austin. I thought that was a great fight from Wagner.
Yeah. And I love it too. Like when not all, but when a good majority of our fan rants are on the same thing. Fans, you guys are smart. Like you're seeing the same stuff we are. And I like that. So, smart. A lot of them have to do with this, but I will point out Jason, his fan rant here. If that's the way Hartford is going to play, unnecessarily physical, then Wednesday is an absolute must win in regulation. And Jason, I agree. And
1,000%.
I agree on both fronts. I do expect why wouldn't Hartford play the same way? Steve, you opened with this. Suspend me. I don't care.
Right.
A lot of those guys are probably going to be in the ECHL next year or on another team because that's what happens when the Rangers are in last place. Hartford's in last place. I would imagine that roster is going to be having an absolute overhaul. So what do they have to lose? Absolutely nothing. And I couldn't agree more. The importance of this Wednesday. This is a game 7 for the Thunderbirds. It has to be a game 7. I expect Zarenko to be in net, although like Steve Ott might have a different plan. But I think you have to go with your top guy on Wednesday. You could flip a coin right now the way Cranley's been playing too. You can flip a coin, and I wouldn't be shocked if it's Cranley. But Zarenko's had the experience. And I think if you make a deep playoff run, you need a Zarenko on point. The way he finished Hartford's game, I think he's earned the start on Wednesday. To me, it's a game 7 because if you go in to a game that you're clearly better than Hartford, but you don't want to get into their muck. You don't want to get into their grime of a just nasty, not hockey game. That players get injured, players play with too much emotion, and that's when bad things happen. So I agree with you, Jason. This is a must-win Wednesday.
I kind of like this one, and I will say a lot of you guys are commenting on the lack of consistency with kneeing penalties and how Hartford kind of came in and just came in like it was Looney Tunes and was just. And, that's sort of what I led off the show with was that same kind of thought that like they weren't really there to play a hockey game. They were there to skate around, hit anything that moves. And, it looked like a beer league game out there. But I like what Nicholas Fazio says, as usual. Nick's always brings something good to the table. This is a good test. This week will be like a playoff week, which should keep them sharp going in. I think December, anyone listening would have been happy with the scenario they're giving in their slow start. Kind of disagree with the majority of people in here thinking Hartford wants to play spoiler. That organization in both the NHL and AHL has had a really tough year. They're probably just counting the days down. If you give them a reason to quit, they probably will, which made the slow start Saturday even tougher to take. What makes teams like that dangerous, in his opinion, is there's no pressure on them. When that team has an early lead, it breaks down to winning, and anything is just more fun than losing. So a couple things there, Nick. I agree. I think this is a great test because this is going to be more like an actual playoff schedule. He says he thinks in December anyone would be happy with the scenario. I will say, Nick, I don't know in the history of sports, and pardon me if I said this last week because I've had this marinating. I don't know in the history of the sport of hockey has a team fired their coach, traded their captain, been in last place after January 1st, and made the playoffs. I don't think I've ever seen that in my life. You're going to fire the coach, trade the captain, you're in last place, and you still make the playoffs. That is freaking cool, man. That is impressive. I don't think I can ever recall seeing that. So I totally agree. And, Hartford's probably had their vacations booked. Yeah. The trips to Cancun are already booked, but it's a 2-game swing here. So was it Friday, Saturday? So even if you're leaving off vacation Sunday morning, you still got to play Friday. You can't leave. You can't sit that game out. You still got to play it. So I expect them to come ready to play and ready to go. And hopefully now they're going to come ready to play and ready to go if there's something on the line. Mm-hmm. If the Thunderbirds beat Lehigh Valley and now the game really doesn't mean anything, then I expect Hartford to kind of pack it in. And we've said this in the past about Bridgeport. That seems like the kind of team where if you can get up by 2 goals, then the rest is just a free skate for the next 2.5 periods or whatever it is. So get up on this team, let them shut it down, let the clock run out, and get the hell out of there. That's what I say.
Agree. Agree.
We get to that point.
Kelly McDonald. Honestly, I knew Hartford was going to try and spoil our run because it's the same kind of doo-doo that the parent team pulls. I'm a little bit of a Ranger fan, a little bit.
Oh, sorry to hear
that. A little bit. Yeah, just from my days in Connecticut.
Just when you think you know a guy.
Yeah. Here's her bigger point and what I agree with. Let's keep it in perspective here. We didn't get blown out. We played with our heart, all the heart we have. As far as Providence yesterday, look at who, why, and how many players were not on the roster. Romanov did a damn fine job. We just got to bring our A game on Wednesday and use it in all 3 periods. Lehigh Valley is going to come out swinging, and we got to be able to pop them in the mouth before they're finished pulling back the swing. And that's a big if, because I have faith we don't make the playoffs. Please keep in mind we still got further than we had any right to based on how we played up just past the holidays. The changes that Coach Ott made got us here. It should have happened sooner. And what that also says is next season is going to be beautiful, at least to me. And that's just her 3 cents due to inflation.
I love that line.
Kelly, well said. And look, and you're right. When I think I said this when we named Joel Hofer the GOAT of the T-Birds. That was not something in our preseason plan of like, hey, let's start this. We did that because the season was off to such a horrid start. We both, Steve, right? We were like, we can't do this for an hour.
We can't do
this
not for an hour.
For our mental health. Like, we can't just bash this team that we love that's playing so poorly for an hour. We have to find something else positive to talk about. So if you go all the way back to episode 3, 4, 5 and listen to our tone, to think that we'd be here now is massive. You're right. Since Coach Ott has been here, changes that have been made, roster, personnel, scheme, game. I can't believe you talk about a team in last place as of whatever date it was, right? Having a chance to be in the playoffs is almost unheard of. You talk about for a year and a half, this team was giving up 40 plus shots a night. And then like that, folks, it doesn't, that still to this day blows my mind. What coulda, shoulda, woulda happened last year. Oh my gosh. If there was just something else, read in between the lines here, something else in place, what could have happened last year, but that's old news, right? This year, to see the turnaround that this team has had, like I said, I'm so excited to see a full season of Will Cranley here. Yep. Arrows pointing up.
Yeah.
And a big part of that is these young guys playing playoff hockey. And I expect it to go past this week. I truly do.
I do too, but I'm not in the prediction business. Sam, I got to talk Sam off the ledge here. Samantha says, what's happening to this team? We were playing so well. Then it's like the fire and it's just died out. Injuries now, and then we lose 2 in a row. What is happening? I really wouldn't concern yourself. You're not going to win every game. You're on a 6-game win streak. You're not going to win every game. So sorry, did you already do this one? Did I miss it?
No. I'm saying I said that. I said, folks, like we're not going to when we had 9 left. I'm like, we're not going to go 9-0
How to
here.
tell when the host isn't listening. I got distracted by my dog. But no, yeah, you're not going to win them all. And Providence is good, and Hartford is full of professional hockey players. So I mean, that's going to happen. I do think the injuries are. I don't want to say they're significant, but I guess because again, I listened to the pregame of Providence in the car, and I guess Hugh McGinn got dinged up. Obviously Burns and Rosen. I sadly I don't know anything, but I wouldn't expect that guy back any soon, just based on what that looked like.
Yeah.
So Lindstein coming back is huge. Stenberg coming back is huge. And you're going to see some guys that are really talented get scratched. Like I fear for like Jakob Stutzel, and I know I think he had a breakaway on Saturday maybe, where I was just like, get one for you, bud. Like get one. That guy has been on the schneid for a long time, and he's been playing fourth line minutes with Simon Robertson and Cale Kessie, and I think that he's better than that. But there's no other place to put him, and I just wanted to see Stutzel kind of get one. You know what I mean? Just get one. And even with Stenberg coming back, like I wouldn't touch that. The Koska-Mackey, Dubé, Wagner, I wouldn't touch that.
Agreed.
So Stenberg coming back is going to make things a little bit interesting roster wise. And, Rosen got hurt and Burns got hurt, but you have Leo Loof and you have Theo Lindstein, and boom, you're right back at it, so you don't even have to go to Zach Berzola. With all due respect to Zach Berzola, you don't have to make that move because you have enough guys on the roster. So we are kind of lucky there and lucky with that. And hopefully that will, help us out here moving forward. I'm not concerned about this team and their effort and their energy level. I think they'll get it back. Even Lindsay said in the thing that they just they look tired on Sunday. Well, yeah, I mean that's 3-3 with travel. Like that's what's going to happen. So,
I mean, look, it's sports. I mean, for me, and I'm with you, Sam. They played a hockey game and they lost. We haven't seen the Wonderbirds in months.
We haven't. Correct.
Right. We haven't seen that. So
it was maybe a 10-minute stretch there in Hartford.
Yeah, but it got correct. Yeah. Like the Wonderbirds to me are like, why are you not fixing it? Why are you not? You're just rinse and repeating the same thing over and over again, which is garbage. They cleaned it up, right? So there was a little bit of that for the first 10 minutes, but they played a hockey game and they lost. So hopefully you got that out of your system. I am currently right now, we're recording. It's a little bit after 8:00 on Tuesday night. The injury report on the Thunderbirds website is clean. Anthony Kerr is the only one on there. So I don't trust that because it's a hockey one anyway, but their injury report is clean. But now looking at their roster, we can now think ahead about who's available this week, who's available for playoffs. Let's just say probably your worst case scenario, Callie Rosen is unavailable and Quentin Burns is unavailable. That would sound horrific. You still have Leo Loof, Butchinger, Wyatt Newpower, Hunter Skinner, Marc-Andre Gaudet, and now Lindstein.
And Colin Ralph.
6.
And Colin Ralph.
No, but I'm saying there's your starting 6.
Yeah. Oh, I would put Ralph in. I'd put him in probably ahead of Newpower, but I get what you're saying.
And had a Newpower with his experience and everything, you think?
I do I don't know how much playoff experience Newpower has, but I think for me, a massive amount of growth with Ralph happened on Saturday when Rosen and Burns got hurt. And there's 4 defensemen, and all 4 of them I thought looked awesome. I thought they looked steady. I thought he had a major growth in that game on Saturday. So and he's sort of the future with all due respect to Newpower. I think he's more of the invested prospect. So that's where I would go with that. But, how much it's an interesting question, okay, it's playoffs. Are we still invested in getting the young guys acclimated to the AHL, or are we invested in winning hockey games and advancing it around?
See, so
you know what I'm saying?
Completely get, and they're almost two different sides of a spectrum. I mean, I look at Wyatt Newpower with over 260 career AHL games played. So that's where I'm at. Like his experience, he's been there, done that, and I would probably feel better writing that. This is not a knock on Colin Ralph.
No, of course not.
If he's your seventh guy, like, again, my point is, yeah, there might be some guys banged up, but I'm still confident in the guys that you're rolling out there. We're not rolling out an ECHL line at all. No disrespect to anybody on this roster, but I'm not making any excuses. Injuries are not the reason this team loses. If they can't get into the playoff, if they can't win that final playoff spot, you're just looking yourself in the mirror, because I don't think you're blaming it on injuries. There's enough talent up and down the roster, up and down the lines, that and the goaltending is there. The guys just got to play, right?
Right.
So and even you've got excuse me, now that you're bringing Otto Stenberg back, you're right. It's like, all right, I'm going to assume your top line. I agree with you. Kaskamaki, Dubé, Wagner, you're not touching those guys. You're going to roll them out as your top line. So are you? I mean, I'm scrolling up and down. Zach Dean, Akil Thomas, Bordelot, Stenberg, like all these guys. Yeah. Bordelot's in, Hugh McGing, and Gauthier, whatever, but he's going to play. Dylan Peterson and Felix Trudeau hasn't played bad, but no. So now he
hasn't played bad enough to where he deserves to sit. You know what I'm saying? Right.
So now you're at the spot where it's like, all right, Felix Trudeau and Jakob Stunsel, Juraj Pekarchik, haven't mentioned those guys yet.
Those are the three that need a big 3 games here if they want to see playoff time. Like Juraj Pekarchik, like you gotta step it up. Same thing with Stunsel. And like I said, I do feel bad for Stunsel just because I feel like the opportunities haven't really been there based on where he's slotted in the lineup. He hasn't gotten the same minutes that Pekarchik has. But yeah, I'm looking at those 3, and you can throw Felix Trudeau in there too. Like, one of you needs to pop. If not 2 of you guys got to pop, and you guys got to make it so that, like you like to say, you got to make it so they can't sit me down.
Right. Yeah. Nice. So look, I think they're in the best spot possible for saying, look, win or go home, and if I do believe, even if they do lose against Lehigh Valley, if you win the last 2 against Hartford, you're still in, if I'm not mistaken, because you would have the tiebreaker over Lehigh Valley. So even if Lehigh Valley swept Charlotte, if you take care of Hartford, you're still in, right? So it truly isn't a Game 7 win or go home. They still have a chance that becomes a lot more dire and a lot more anxiety provoking if they can't win Wednesday. But they're sitting in what I think is a good spot to just handle their business, and that's it.
Agreed. So we want to thank everybody for the fan rants there. We appreciate really all season long you guys reaching out. I will say, I think that no matter what, even if things go horribly wrong and we miss the playoffs, Matt and I will be back next week. Trust me, we won't leave you hanging. But one thing
we'll have to come up with our SRG awards quicker than we've been kind of holding off because we're expecting we're expecting a few more weeks of this show. But we'll have to bring our SRG awards a little bit sooner.
Totally. One question I'm going to have you sort of marinate over the course of the week is, depending on how the schedule shakes out, are you platooning goalies? And that's something we'll talk about next week, because I am a big platoon guy. The days of Patrick Waugh playing 80 games are gone. I don't think anybody does that anymore. And so are you going to be platooning? And I'm curious to see what that looks like across the league. Like Providence, you got DiPietro. Are you going to roll them out every single night? Or, what's the plan there? So I always love looking at the goaltending and like the schedule and what that all looks like. So I want to save that one. I want to let that marinate till next week. But in terms of the schedule, I mean, you guys know what it is, but obviously massive game tonight, Lehigh Valley, 7:05, Mass Mutual Center. Come on down, be loud, be ready to go. It's a winning weekday. It's presented by Mass Lottery. If they win the game, I don't think your ticket's good for anything. There's nothing left, so I doubt it. At least in the regular season. And then obviously Friday at Hartford, 7:00. Saturday, home against Hartford, 6:05. This is always one of my favorite games of the year. It's the season-ending block party, thanks to the Springfield Bid and Community Bank NA. You get the team poster giveaway, and as the Bremen Pest Control I-91 rivalry. Let's hit all their sponsors, and it's the post-game paint the ice, which I always love. My kids will come down, and we always paint right in front of Daddy's booth, and they, this is Daddy's seat, and they always make it a thing, and it always warms my cold, dark heart. So that one's one I'm really looking forward to as well.
Yes, listen, fans, Thunderdome needs to be thunderous. And I have no doubt that you guys won't disappoint. We'll be watching. We got sports all weekend, so we'll be watching from our couches. But
I will say the crowds this weekend felt playoffy.
Yeah,
felt real playoffy. It was a lot of times there's that chatter, conversation, which means that it's not like a baseball game where people are kind of watching the game, but they're also having their own conversation. There was very little of that because I felt the anxiety, the tension in the building. Everybody was hanging on every single play. Everybody had something to say after every play, which I thought was great. So yeah, you guys crushed it. Bring it back. Bring it Wednesday. We need it Wednesday.
Wednesdays are tough. I get it. Wednesdays are tough. You'll get through Thursday. You'll get through it. And look, here I am. I'm talking like I'll be there. Unfortunately I won't be. We have our first lacrosse game Wednesday afternoon. But we will be watching on our couch. We will be throwing popcorn at the TV. We will be loud. Jill will be jumping up and down too. She's been getting into it this year. But hey,
to your point, I'll be there and I'll be loud. And I got to go to work Thursday. I got freshmen this week. I got to deal with ninth graders all week. I'll be there Thursday. And you know what? That Wednesday night, I'm going to be coming in hot. I'm going to be ready to go. If I'm going to be ready to go, you got to be ready to go. Come on, let's go.
Let's do it. Hey, 3 big games. Win on Wednesday. You're in the playoffs. Get through Hartford. Punch them in the mouth, literally, figuratively. Get through those games healthy. Let's go, T-Birds. We'll see you in the playoffs.